share the watch. Oh God, I'm so tired. I'll get back with you when I'm in the airport, so let's go. Guys, it's 5 o'clock almost, and the Leeds Bradford airport. God, it's still dark, so I'll get back with you when we're actually on a plane, because I'm going to be by myself. There's a Christmas tree. Dad, there's a Christmas tree. Maybe not. Fun. I'll flip it round when I can. It's massive! Oh my God. It's massive. This is the first time since the operation I've been on a flight, so this is going to be scary. Oh, light! Light! Oh, I was turn it over and you'll see the Christmas tree. Now, do you see it? There. Now it's just going to be where we're going, I don't know. Christmas tree, Jet 2! Come on. In the airport. Right. I'll get back when I'm on the craft. Let's get. That just was so pretty. Don't move your head. Oh my God. And there you see our thing. You're mad, Dad! You are mad! We're running. Not sure why. Get a bit lighter. Like, oh, Daddy's literally mad. Over there.
It's down here.
Walk around Dublin Street now. It's so pretty.
Now is the opportunity.
Like, focus. There we go.
I want a black one as well.
Black Peaky Blinder hat.
A couple of good ones in Yorkshire.
So we're going to the Leprechaun Museum. This is where I got this from.
Yeah.
Lovely. I'll show you inside as well. If I can.
You're not going to get home.
Oh, I don't.
Right. I'll turn back into it. Yeah, but she would.
Get them together.
I like the Simpsons one though. It's in the Simpsons one there.
I love the Leprechaun movies. I love the Leprechauns.
I'm getting a picture of that one.
There you go. Seen that movie. What part of this? The door is there. Oh yeah, can read that. That's backwards. I think I'll read it from the mirror. I'll be right back with it in the controls room. That's the start. I go down, in there, up, down, and then I'll take you with you. Sort in the background. You settle. Go on, Milo.
Well, that hasn't done my back a lot of good.
By the landscape and the spirits that dwell there. Day and night divide the real from the fantastic, just as Samhain and Bealtaine mark the dark half of the year from the bright half. As the rising sun lights the inner chamber of an ancient passage tomb, lines stretch across the island, linking monuments, tombs, and mythical places. Linking the world of the Sidhe, of fairies and mythical beings. Many of these lines converge at the Stone of Divisions on the Hill of Ishnach, originally meaning the angular place. This is the belly button of Ireland, and once the 5 provinces of Ireland met here. These ancient sites, now highlighted, dominated the Irish landscape. Newgrange, Brúnaboyne in County Meath, older than the pyramids at Giza and Stonehenge in England, was once home to the mythical Dagda, father figure of the otherworld people. Passage tombs and cairns such as Nauf and Douth, Lough Crew and Carrickeel, and monuments like Grianon Áileach spread across the provinces. Ancient royal sites like the Hill of Tara, Rathcrogan in Connacht, and Cashel in Munster, Alnvacha in Ulster and Dunallin in Leinster play their part in Ireland's ancient stories. Throughout the landscape, trees and lakes, standing stones and fairy forts are significant in the stories and legends of Ireland, and are still respected as doorways into the otherworld of the Sidhe. As the light fades, our stories grow richer. On the great rocky plain of Moitira, the bright otherworld people called Tuatha Dé Danann fought a battle with their sinister foes, the Fomorda, at the beginning of history. There, Lugh, handsome young champion of the Tuatha Dé, led his army to victory. Loch Derivara in Westmeath is the location for one of the more famous of the stories, the Children of Lear. This concerns a local otherworld king called Lear, whose 4 children, A, Fiachra, Con, and Fionnuala, are turned to swans by their wicked stepmother Aoife, and are doomed to spend 300 years on Loch Derivara, 300 years on the Sea of Moyle between Ireland and Scotland, and 300 years on Inishglora off the western coast. Aoife's father, Bob, overall king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, in a rage turns Aoife into a demon of the air. In the tale of the children of Turin, the story begins at a great fair on the Hill of Ishnach. There, Cian, father of Lugh, is slain, but he places a spell on his killers. The blood you have spilled, the hero you have killed, shall follow your steps till your doom be fulfilled. This spell follows the sons of Turin from the plain of Muirheaven in Louth across the continent of Europe, until they land at Bineder, Howth, and finally die some miles to the east at Dún Turin. Real places are steeped in mythology. Now as night falls on Ireland, it becomes the land of the Sidhe, the people of the otherworld. Chief among these are the Tuatha Dé Danann. When defeated by the Gaels, led by the sons of Neil, the Tuatha Dé agreed to split the country in half, the upper half to the Gaelic people, and the underworld to the Tuatha Dé, the people of light. Their world meets ours as the leprechaun, the banshee, and the merrow, and ghosts such as the Taibhse and the Puka come alive in the darkness of the night.
Pot of gold. I'm going to show you the whiskey tasting. And we do as much video as I can so I can show you a little bit. Right, prepare for the whiskey tasting.
People will tell you that it takes blood, sweat and tears to go into making any good bottle of Irish whiskey. Truth isn't too far off. You do need 3 main ingredients, though admittedly they're a bit less exciting. It's water, grain and yeast. All still exciting in their own way, right? Just me? Cool, that's fine. Fair enough. So in Ireland traditionally we will use barley as our grain, just what we have a lot of around. You can use anything. Like in Teeling, some of our whiskies have used corn or rye. We have to get those imported. Corn and rye generally tend to like the sunshine. We get them imported. It's best to leave it at that. Barley likes the rain, so we have plenty of barley here in Ireland. We'll also usually use malted barley for our whiskey here at Teeling. This gives it a bit of a sweeter taste. So to malt your barley, you take your barley, put it in some warm water in a dark room for about 3 to 5 days. This is basically going to trick your barley into thinking that it's being planted and that it's growing. It's going to start the germination process and the barley is going to begin to release its natural starches that we're going to use later. Hey everybody, so here we have our 6 fermenters. As you can see, we have 4 stainless steel fermenters in the back, holding 30,000 litres each. And up front, we have 2 more traditional wooden fermenters, holding 15,000 litres each. And most modern distilleries you'll see are only going to have these stainless steel ones in the back. Kind of like mix the traditional with the modern when we can here too.
That likes that
A
one.
couple of reasons why we use these wooden ones up front. One of the main reasons, is that we're actually going to get a bit of additional flavour. Half 2 days from these ones and then they're finished off.
Whiskey.
So folks, I would like to introduce you to the stars of the show. Please meet our 3 leading ladies. We have Alison, we have Natalie, and we have Rebecca. These are our 3 pot stills, named after the 3 lovely daughters of one of our founders, Jack Teeling. Little Alison, the oldest daughter, also our largest size pot still, holding 15,000 litres. Natalie, the middle child, also our middle size still, holding 10,000 litres. And then finally, baby Rebecca down the end there, our smallest pot still, holding 9,000 litres. Now very basically what we need to do here is just separate the alcohol from our wash from all the other stuff in the wash that we don't want. With the alcohol a bit cleaner, a bit stronger. To do this, each of our pot stills will pretty much work like a giant kettle. So we're going to take our wash and we're going to do Alison up here. We're going to heat Alison up to 94 degrees Celsius. So it's just below the boiling point of water, or quite a bit above the boiling point of alcohol. So the alcohol from our wash is going to evaporate up, go up our swan's neck here, and into this recondensing tube behind, which is going to cool down and turn back into a liquid. We call this liquid low wine. 25% ABV with 50 proof.
Can't read that. So you've got Alison, which is the how many? 15,000 litres, and Natalie with 10,000 litres. And I think Rebecca is 9,000 litres. It's not bad for really like little kids. Normally they are meant to spray out what comes into one of these, but it's not working. So, oh yeah, it is. No, it's not. Getting the photo. Smile. Dad. Cool. Oh, more here.
I'm sure there will be. Yeah, there just wasn't enough information, was there?
If you had our proposal, the company might be in a bit of trouble. We don't keep our whisky maturing here in Dublin city centre, for a couple of reasons. There's not a huge amount of space. If we did have the space, it would be crazily expensive, and not to assume how much anyone here knows about science, but highly flammable alcohol in wooden barrels by their thousands in a busy city centre, it's not the best idea, shall we say. So we actually keep all of our reserves about an hour north of Dublin in a place called County Louth, out in the countryside. We know that they're all safe up there in County Louth because nothing ever happens in County Louth. Just ask anyone from Louth and they'll be the first to tell you. Most of these barrels we have in here are in fact empty, just for display purposes. There's only 2 barrels that we have maturing here on site, and those are these 2 behind you here in our Dublin pot still vault. As you might be able to see, the barrel on the left is known as the Zoe Teeling cask. Zoe is the daughter of our other founder, Stephen Teeling. Unfortunately, Zoe's only 2. So she missed out on having one of the pot stills named after her. Instead, on the day that she was born, they filled up an entire barrel full of whiskey that will be delivered to her on the day of her 18th birthday. Yeah, personally I think she got the better deal, but who knows. Now the barrel to the right of the Zoe Teeling cask is our single pot still batch 1. Now, that is no ordinary barrel of whiskey. That, my friends, is whiskey history. That is the first barrel of whiskey distilled here in this distillery. Making it the first barrel of whiskey distilled in Dublin in over 40 years. Dublin, as I said, which was once known as the world capital for whiskey making after its golden age. To give you a modern day equivalent of it, imagine if the Champagne region in France just decided to stop making sparkling wine. Tomorrow, stopped. and then 40 years later brought it back. That is the reputation that Dublin whiskey once held. The first 100 bottles of this barrel were all auctioned off, with all proceeds going to local charities. Here we have an ex-Cabernet Sauvignon barrel, and this one behind me here is an ex-Bourbon barrel. You put the same punching into each of these barrels, you're going to get 3 totally different whiskies by the end of it. After 6 months, your punching is going to look like this. You're going to see some of the colour coming through there. Now this is not an Irish whiskey. To be honest with you, it looks a bit more like a cheap white wine to me, but definitely not an Irish whiskey. To be called an Irish whiskey, legally, it has to be distilled and matured here on the island of Ireland in oak barrels for a minimum of 3 years. This law used to be 3 years and 1 day. Because in Scotland, they matured theirs for 3 years. And as I said, we're nothing if not a petty people who just needed to be that 1 day better than the Scots. After a while, of course, we realised this was ridiculous. Fair is fair, we brought it back to 3 years, and now we're all friends again. Isn't it great? So that is your punching after 6 months. And here you have your whiskey after 6 years. See lovely golden amber tones coming through that there. One of Ireland's most beloved playwrights, George Bernard Shaw, once described whiskey as liquid sunshine. The light hits it just right, it's not too hard to see why. Now, there is an unfortunate side effect to maturing your whiskey though. That is that each year, you're going to lose a small amount of the whiskey to evaporation. It's just what happens. Here in Ireland, we're quite blessed with our climate. I'm going to say that again. Here in Ireland, we're quite blessed with our climate. At least in terms of whiskey making. Quite a mild climate, never too hot, never too cold, so only lose a small amount of the barrel to evaporation. About 5% in the first year, 2% each year after this. Now this 2% has a nice little nickname over here in Ireland. It is known as the Angel's Share. This is going back to the 6th century AD. Irish monks brought distilling to this country and invented the whiskey making process. The Irish monks, they had a lot of things going for them. Science was not one of these things.
So this is what I'll be drinking. Oh boy.
If I can get this open. Delightful. So 1, 2, 3, sláinte. Beautiful. Should also say, you don't have to drink if you don't want to. Probably should have said that before making you all drink en masse, but sure, here we are. You're in it now. So this first whiskey is our small batch whiskey. Breathe out afterwards, it helps.
Yeah.
We call it small batch, breathe out.
Oh, this is beautiful. And you've got some lots over there.
You Snapchat, are you
Recording?
WhatsApping it?